Guys, I'm back and we're going to be recording part 2 now. So let's do this. It's the deuce 3 suited. We're not going to be raising. It's too low, too weak. It's going to be folding these next couple hands. I'm sure someone raises us in every one of these pots. Ace 8 on the button. I could make a play here. I might be ahead, but I don't want to put my tournament on the line with Ace 8 with nearly 27 big blinds. And the way to calculate your big blinds is just divide your chip stack by the big blind. So 27 is a lot. 27 divided by 1. So yeah, we fold that. And we keep folding. We get the ace 8 with 2.2x preflop. And raise and take it. And we fold up until the jack 9. And the small blind limps. He could be pretty weak with like a lot of hands like queen 5, 7, 6. So I decide to jam here, but a lot of players do trap these days, so I'm not really a big fan of it. But I made the play, and he calls me with queen king, and it doesn't end up working out, which is fine. It's not like he had me covered. If he had me covered, I wouldn't be going so aggressively. I had like triple his chips. That's why I did this play. Plus, he didn't really show me any strength. So yeah, that's the way that hand played out. And we just keep folding to the next ones now. We had queen king in mid position with 15 big blinds. Again, 18,000 chips divided by 1,200 is around 15. So we shove with 15. 15 is a good stack to go all in with. Unless I had like pocket kings or aces, I'd be raising small there. And the next time we get ace 10, we still don't have that many chips, but we shove it. And we take down that pot. All these little pots are pretty nice because once you get short stack, you don't really have room to make plays or make people fold. Everyone calls you with anything. So it's important to keep your chip stack pretty strong. So I just keep folding these garbage hands. Button triples my big blind, and I decide to defend since I have two broadways. Pretty good hand to defend versus the blinds or end button. So I flop a gut shot straight draw. Any 9 will give me a straight, and any queen would possibly beat any pair he has on the board. So he bets about half, and I don't really have too much chips left, and I'm definitely not just calling hoping to hit. So I'm going to semi bluff and go all in. And hopefully he doesn't call, and if he does, I still have outs to hit the 9 or the queen. Maybe even a 10 too. And he folds, and that's a nice one to take down. This ace 3 here, I guess I just tried to be tight. I don't like playing out of position out of the small blind too much. You could argue that I should re-raise here pre-flop, but I was trying to keep to a tight strategy. So I fold that one, and next hand get ace king suited on the button. This guy raises and he calls, and I think the clear play here is just to go all in. Maybe if I had any high pair like kings, queens, or aces, I would be re-raising here small to maybe about 87 to 9,000, 8,700 to 9,000. Yeah. So yeah, I go all in since I don't have those high pairs, and they fold. Sweet pickup, and again we wake up with ace king. We 2.5x pre-flop, and they all fold. So just going to keep folding these rags. Not going to play that 6-4 suited. Again, this guy's being pretty active, but I could shove here, but it's pretty bad. I mean, they do have weaker hands than me, but if they wake up with a stronger hand, I'm just done. So again, I just trying to stay disciplined. So we keep folding till the ace jack suited. And this guy in a bit of mid position raises to minimum, and I decided to shove it here. Like, this is a lot stronger than the ace 8 offsuit. Just trying to pick up these blinds right now, and he folds, which is nice. Pretty risky play, but sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, and you can make your adjustments based off what you find is working for you. And remember to look at the stack depth if you're deep stacked or short stacked. So I race again in mid position with queen king suited. Flop a king. He bets into us for a blind We decided to call in case he has any ace in his range, which he usually doesn't, but just in case. And again, he just bet small. We should probably raise here because this is pretty weak. I think anyone with an ace would be trying to protect their hand. So I'm thinking he has like a weak king or like a 3 or something, some sort of straight draw, jack 10, queen 10. But I call again, and he bets the river small. Sorry guys, just had to pause there for a quick sec. So yeah, anyway, he leads into us on the river pretty small, and we call. And he just has a king 9, so we beat him with the queen kicker. Fold. We get 6s. We raise under the gun. We get called by 3 people. Flop comes out pretty good. No one re-raised us pre-flop. We don't have to really assume they have any high pairs in their range too often. So he checks, and I like betting here. I don't really expect anyone to have a 7, and if they do, I'm pretty sure we'll find out when they re-raise us. So I like betting here, but I check. I guess I'm trying to play it safe. And the short stack goes all in, and I don't really believe him at all. I don't see him having any 7s in his range, maybe 7-8 suited, but... And then the big blind calls, but I would think that he would play a 7 a bit more stronger, so I think he's drawing. I think maybe he has like ace 4, ace 5, 4 5, 4 6, maybe not 4 6, probably the ace cards, ace 4, ace 5, and sometimes ace 2 and ace 3, and yeah, I don't really put him on a 7. I think he'd re-raise, but I make a pretty loose call. I overcall, and the turn comes a 4. So now ace 5 got there with the straight, but he doesn't have to have that. And any ace 4 has a pair now, but which we're still beating. And we're still beating ace 2, ace 3, ace 4, and we're losing to ace 5 and any 7. So he checks, and we check behind to pot control, which is a pretty good play because we're pretty deep and we don't need to really push things too hard. So the river's a 7, which is a pretty good card for us. That probably means he doesn't have any trip 7s. So we'll see how he acts. He checks, and at this point I think we should be betting for sure. I think he has some sort of low pair, like a 2, 3, or a 4. And yeah, I think I would bet something maybe like 15,000. The pot is like 37. 15,000 seems like he'd call any of those pairs. But I check back, pretty weak check back. I'm not really happy with that play. And he does show ace 4, which we could have got extra value from him, but it's fine. And we keep moving on to the next hands. They fold to us in the big blind. Keep folding these garbage hands. And we get kings, and we re-raise pre-flop. His sizing is pretty small. He min-raises, and I a little bit more than triple his raise. So he calls, and this board's pretty good for us. Overpair with the king high flush draw. He checks, we bet half pot, and he calls. We turn a pretty high flush, but he could definitely still have some ace of clubs in his range. So I like just checking back here just in case he has the ace high club, because I don't really want to shove my whole stack just because I have a king high flush. There's always that chance where we're beat. So we check back, and not a bad river card. Like, I don't really expect him to have any full houses too much. I would assume that most of his hands consist of some sort of Broadway, like ace jack, ace queen, ace 10, king 10. Well, I have the blockers for the kings actually, so no king. I don't put him on any kings. So yeah, mostly ace jack, ace queen. So I would hope that one of those combos don't have the ace of clubs. So he bets, and I could raise him here, but I think calling is just better just to value our tournament life. So I call, and he has the queen high of club. We could have shoved on him, but sometimes he has the ace high of clubs, and you just it's an awful feeling when you bust overplaying a hand. So yeah, that's why I called. I didn't want to overplay my king high flush. So we're doing pretty good now. This guy min raises and we defend. We don't flop anything. We just check. We turn open-ended straight draw. So we could go about this two ways. We could check or we could bet. If I'm going to bet this turn, I would probably have to bet the river too, no matter what it is. But button can have an ace here so often or a big hand. He might not fold any pair he has. So maybe just a turn bet's fine just to see. So we bet the turn pretty small, under half. They both call and we just brick the river. I guess we're giving up now. I could go all in because no one bet the flop, so they shouldn't really have an ace, but just in case someone's trapping, I check. And he shows kings, which is good, but maybe he would have folded. Who knows? Probably not. So we probably saved money, even though it looks like I should have bluffed. So next hand, I get 5-6 suited. I don't think I'm playing that. Someone probably raised it. King 9 suited. Can't do anything versus an all-in. Too weak. Maybe if I had king queen. That would probably be my minimum calling range versus that guy. So I raise the king 5 suited here in late position to 2.2x and we get a call. We flop a flush draw board and the ace and the jack should be more in our range. Plus we have the flush draw to help us semi-bluff. So I bet. Yeah, I like the bet. And he folds. Even though our bet was pretty small. He either has it or he doesn't. So this guy limps and I limp too. I could have raised, but then if he jammed I would have had to call his full 30,000. So I just tried to risk 1,800 instead. Plus my hand flops pretty good with the suited. So I flop a flush draw and it checks to me and I think betting's fine for sure. And I bet and they all fold. And I fold. Jack. This is too early to raise Jack 8 suited from here. It's first position. These guys are going to be waking up with like Jack Queen, Ace 10, you know, King 9, maybe Jacks, just to give you an idea of like each person has a pretty much a 5% chance to wake up with a hand. So if we were to calculate between the rest of the players at the table, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 times 5. So there's a 40% chance someone's going to be re-raising me or calling me or something, doing, you know, just trying to exploit me. So that's like pretty much heads or tails almost. So yeah, and Jack High is just not at the top of my range. If I was in later position, I'd be opening that Jack 8. But yeah, I'm pretty much, I forgot to show you guys this too. I'm pretty much just folding to anything anyone does here with the King 6. Like, I could call, but I just don't want to get in trouble because I got a good stack. And maybe if it was suited, I'd call. I could still call. I'm getting 4-1 odds actually. I do have a Broadway card in my hand. I could definitely call and try to, you know, flop a king. But what if my kicker's too weak and he has like a King Jack or a King Queen? But it goes both ways. It's up to you guys how you really want to play these spots. I try to play tighter, depending on how I'm feeling. So yeah, gonna keep folding these. We wake up with the King Jack suited, and under the gun raises and we call. We flop a gut shot straight draw, and he bets 2 big blinds. I don't really see any point in raising here because he could definitely have an ace. So I'm just going to take his little weak bet and try to call it in position. Turn completes the flush, but that could be a scared card for him too. Like even if he has like say ace 10 spades, but it's still not the best bluff spot, and he might just shove it in our face. He only has 20k, 21k compared to a 20k pot pretty much. I bet small. I'm not sure I like this. I think I would have liked to go at least to 8 or 9,000, at least half pot. But maybe I was just testing the waters. Just if he shoved, I would have folded. And I river the straight, which is nice. And he checks to me, and I put him all in, which is fine. I don't really think he has a flush here ever. And if he does, so be it. So he calls, and with 2 pair. I don't really like the way he played that 2 pair. He should have bet the flop way bigger. And he should have shoved the turn when I bet that 5,400. He shouldn't be check calling, especially with all the hearts. There's too many draws. So we take down that pot, which is sweet. And this next hand, the guy raised under the gun. Again, I call. Just calling these guys, trying to let them make mistakes. He checks to me. I bet half. He folds. Folds around to the small blind. He min raises. I call. Easy call. Flop mid pair. I would think he would shove his ace pre-flop on me because he didn't have that big of a stack. So, and this bet doesn't really make any sense. Like usually when they bet this strong, 100% of the pot, 9,000 into 9,000, they haven't the best possible hand they could have usually. But this just looks too fishy because it's blind on blind. And like I said, I think he would shove his ace pre-flop because he wouldn't want to let me see any flops. So he doesn't have that many chips behind. He only has like one big blind plus a little bit more. So I put him all in, and hopefully if he calls with the ace, I hope he doesn't, but if he does, then I would need to hit a 10 or an 8, but I'm pretty sure he's folding here. Yeah. So he folds. So this hand I get Jack 10. And I should be sticking with my normal strategy here. Just because I have more chips than these guys doesn't mean I should be going all in. But this is a common trend I've noticed with myself. When people behind me have less chips, I take a mediocre hand like Jack 10 and I do something like this. I force it. So let's calculate everyone's stack first of all. Okay, so the small blind, this guy, has 43,354. If you divide that by 2,000, I mean, he has 21.6 big blinds. It's not that bad, but 21 big blinds is a lot. And this isn't even a turbo. It's like a slow structure. So I think I should be raising to 4,400, like a 2.2x preflop, and then deciding from there, if they shove all in, I could easily fold. Instead of giving them 44,000 or 35,000 or whatever it is, I could just kind of manage my money better. But, oh yeah, my bad. So yeah, it folds to me, I shove all in, and unfortunately the big blind calls, and we don't get there. So that was kind of a punt right there. But we still have a lot of chips. So now I started to 2.2x, and the big blind shoves on us. And I can't really do much. I only have king high with 8 kicker. It's not good enough, so I'm gonna fold this. King 9 suited. I don't really like calling it all in with king high, so it's not even like I'm in the big blind or something. Just gonna fold that. Just gonna fold all these weak cards, and we get queens, and we min raise, and everyone folds. And here we get ace jack, and we min raise again. This time small blind 3-bets us. I think we should be folding here. I know it's not that much, only 10,000, and we're in position versus him. But his range of hands he's doing with this with is so much stronger than our hand. Like, it's probably his weakest hand he's doing this with is like, tens or jacks. And then what am I drawing to? Like 3 outs of the ace. And if he does have an ace, let's say he has ace king, then if I pair my ace, I'm just going to lose my stack because he's going to bet every street and I'm going to call him. So I think I should fold right here, but I'm stubborn and I call and I get this. It's not the worst board. I mean, I do have backdoor spades, but how often is that going to come spade, and the board is paired and there's already full houses and stuff. So he bets and I just fold. I get ace 5 suited in the big blind, defend versus a raise. Don't flop anything, so I just check fold. We get ace 10 off in the small blind. This guy raises, who re-raised us earlier a few hands ago. So we do the same thing to him. We re-raise him. I think I'd like to go bigger here. You could tell this guy's a bit spewy and aggro. But let's see. He calls. Pretty decent board for us to bet. I bet. The sizing seems okay. Maybe 15, 16k, a little bit bigger. He calls. So now he could have a jack or a 9, but he could also have draws like queen 10, and king queen definitely makes sense. Maybe he has king queen here, or queen 10. All the combo draws that we beat are majority of straight draws. So yeah. So we check. I think knowing that we have a straight draw, that he has a straight draw, we should raise him right here. We should probably raise him big too. We should probably raise him 25,000 or something, or 30,000, because it seems like he's on a draw. I mean, I could even shove, because look at this bet size. He's betting 2,800 into 60,000. That's just weakness to me. I should be capitalizing on this right here, but I just call, and I really don't like that play. And the river comes to 7. I check. He bets pretty small. I mean, the only hand I really beat is all the straight draws like queen king and queen 10. But now I even lose to 7-10. So I don't really put him on a jack, because I think a jack would bet bigger, and I definitely don't put him on a 9. A 9 would bet way bigger. So I probably put him on like a weak pair or a misdraw. So I call hoping he has a misdraw, but he has a 7-10 unfortunately. So it's okay, we go on to the next hand. We raise queen 7 offsuit, queen 7 suited to 2.2x on the button. Pick up the blinds. We get ace 10 offsuit versus the guy who played pretty badly against us earlier. I think I should be calling here. It's still pretty early, I still got majority of the people covered. Like I got one guy covered, 2, 3, 4, 5 people covered. There's only 3 people at the table that cover me, so I should really value my tournament life and just call here. But I guess I was so upset that he was playing so poorly and was capitalizing against me that I just ripped it all in, assuming that my ace was just strong enough to just, take all this dead money right here, if it is dead money. But this guy could easily call me. I'm not a fan of this play. This guy with the 100,000 could knock me out. He just needs a slightly stronger ace or a pair. And then this guy could definitely wake up with a hand too. So I shove and we get called, and we're in pretty bad shape. So we flop a 10 and we turn 2 pair luckily, and we double up. But that shove was all luck. We probably could have played that hand better. And yeah, it's just a hand to keep in mind. Don't overplay hands as weak as ace 10. But I know in this instance it doubled our chip stack, but we were behind and seemed like a lot of big blinds to be shoving with. So I raise jack 10 off and I get shoved on again. I am getting 1.51 to 1 odds, but I don't really like my hand too much. He could easily have so many hands that dominate me. Even queen jack crushes me. But yeah, I don't want to give him free chips, so I think folding is fine. Maybe if I was suited, I'd call there for sure. So a few hands later, I raise the king 10 off. And luckily it folds around. I got 6s in the big blind, and this guy's been pretty aggressive, but there's an under the gun limp this time, so maybe I should be playing this hand safely. So I call, and I got 2 callers, or 2 people in the hand, and he bets, and I think I should just be getting away. I don't really have any reason to stay in this pot, so I fold. So we just keep folding, and finally it folds to us, and we raise the queen 7 suited. Big blind calls, and we flop a middle pair and a flush draw. So he checks. I don't mind the bet, but I could pot control too, because he could definitely have aces in his range, and we're still not beating that yet. Instead of betting here, we could have just bet the turn instead if he checks twice. He check calls. Pretty bad turn card. Checking behind, assuming he has an ace or at least a queen stronger than mine. We don't hit the flush, and we just fold this river because a lot of the hands that he's playing now are beating us. Because I just had middle pair with a 7 kicker. Just gonna fold. This guy goes all in. I can't call a queen 9. It's too much. Maybe if I had queen king, queen jack suited possibly. Yeah, pretty much most pairs, but yeah, queen nine's too weak. This guy min raises, and I just decide to fold the 5-6 suited on the button. Queen 10 off. It's pretty early, but I'm surprised I open. Again, I opened to 2.2x. Get called. And flop a queen high flush draw. I like a bet here. Try to take down the pot right now. And it works. I don't think I would call versus an all-in or anything. That would just show me that he has a stronger spade in his hand and possibly even a set or something like that. So I raise again with the queen king, and this guy shoves on me. So I'm getting 1.5 to 1. I have about 40% equity versus hand. But it looks pretty bad though, because I'm raising from under the gun. I look so strong. And then he's shoving from under the gun 1. So I'm assuming he has like ace queen or ace king or something that has me smashed. Some high pair or something. Okay, ace jack. It's decent, you know, 60-40, whatever it is. It's a pretty good flop for us. Actually, really good flop for us, because any 10 gives us the nut straight. Queen king is alive. But unfortunately, he turns ace and then we don't hit anything. So I would lose that pot. But remember, guys, the only reason why I called this is because I still would have a lot of chips if I lost this pot. Like, if I call and win, I'm like a really big chip lead. But if I call and lose, I still have, you know, over 100,000 chips. And most of these guys, like, a few of these guys don't even have 100,000. Only 2 of them do. So I was trying to, like, snipe people off and win the tournament. But, yeah, it didn't work out, so... King 9 suited here. I think I call just because I'm getting pot odds of 4.2 to 1, and I'm suited. I'm trying to flop a flush or a 2 pair or whatever. But the board totally bricks, and he bets pretty small too, but I don't really see any reason to get too crazy. So I fold that one and go to the next one. Jack 10 suited on the button. I raise to 2.2x. Calls. I like a bet here. I bet. He calls. So at this point, I'm done with the hand. He should usually have a queen or a 6 in his flop calling range. And at worst, he has like a flush draw. And even his flush draw cards are probably higher than mine most of the time. So I'm pretty surprised I double barreled this. Like, this is not a good play because he's trapping me here with a 6 so often. Or a queen. So he check calls again. And yeah, he had a queen. So I could have saved 15k there. It's just good to review these spots for myself too. That was a lot of guts double barreling bluff there though. It's like so obvious that he has it. Guts or stupidity. So just keep folding. Pick up the king queen, raise it up, and they fold. Gonna be folding the king 9 that time. I 2.2x this ace 5 off, and the big blind goes all in on me pretty much and leaves a little bit behind. I'm getting about almost 3 to 1, and I probably should be calling here. He doesn't have that much chips behind. It's like a little bit more. So yeah, I think our hands beat, and maybe we should be folding for that reason. But we're pretty much getting 3 to 1, so. We stick it in, and he barely has us beat. And luckily we hit the 5. Yeah, the math was just too good on that one. We're getting too good of pot odds. And he was short, so even better. So I raised ace 4 off. Pretty loose open. Flop the ace. I start with a check. I guess my thinking is they could easily have ace 10 here. Or ace jack. And just have me out kicked. So they all check around, so now I'm feeling more confident about my hand, so now I bet. And he calls. And I check the river, assuming I'm going to be check calling, in case they have me beat. But he has jacks, and he definitely should have re-raised me pre-flop there. I don't know why he's calling, letting higher cards hit the flop. Folds around to me. I pick it up. Pocket fives on the button. I could set mine. I could 3-bet. I think calling is probably the best, especially versus another big stack. I don't really want to be getting too crazy. So I call. Board's pretty good, but he bets pretty big, and I just fold. I don't really like the fold, but I guess I'm thinking that the board could just counterfeit me on the turn with a 9, or a lot of his straight draws like Jack 10, Queen 10 are so much more powerful and have so much more equity than my hand. And yeah, it would just be hard to continue with 3 streets unless I turn something strong like a 5. So let's see how this hand does play out anyway. So yeah, guys, he did have pocket 10s, just had me crushed anyway, so I try not to get too involved with the big stacks, especially with weaker hands. So if it folds to us, we get Jack King, we raise it, we take it. Again, same thing, Jack King, raise it, take it. Fold the King 6 off. We raise A7 suited under the gun. And we flop a pretty bad board. We could bluff it, but a lot of his calling range fits that. Like a lot of his broadways, he could have diamonds, so I don't think he'd fold much. But he checks, and the flush card hits. And I would assume he would be betting his diamonds on this board, so I'm gonna bluff now. And yeah, he just folds, and we take it down. Blind versus blind, he raises a little bit more than min raise, we call. He checks, and I think that we should be bluffing here. I think he'd be betting most of his hands, and even if he's trapping us, we could just bet fold. Something small, like half pot, like 9k or 8.5k. That's fine too. 8.7 is fine, and it works. So this guy limps, and we're getting 7.2 to 1 to call here with Jack 4 off. So we call. The odds are too good. Flop a jack, we check. He bets pretty small. We call. We don't have the best hand. We're just trying to get to the showdown. And the turn's pretty good for us. The king makes it less likely that he has a king, but all of his jacks usually still beat us. Like even Jack 10 or Jack Queen still beats us. He bets pretty small again, and like I said, it's less likely that he has a king, but he definitely could. But I'm just gonna call here again. And we river a full house now. So I hope he doesn't go all in or anything, but probably calling a bet of his if he does like half bet, half pot. Yeah, like half pot, I think my hand's too strong here to fold, and I have enough chips that even if I make a mistake here, I'll still be alive in the tournament. And we call, and he has 7s, and he gives us a bunch of free chips, which is wicked. So yeah, we're like doing really well in the tournament now. We got a lot of big blinds. We raise King 3 off on the button, get called by the small. Bet this flop, he calls. Now we're pretty much checking. Like we don't want to really bluff anymore. We're taking a stab on the flop. You know, he calls. He's acting like he has something. So we check back, and pretty bad river. We'll be folding to pretty much any bet unless it's super small, like that one. And we call, and he does have the 10. Not really sure what he's doing check calling that flop, but everyone plays different ways, so it's fine. We lose that one. Raise this King 9 off to 2.2x. I'm going to be bluffing this board. Or he didn't really have that much behind, so I decided to just put him all in just in case he decides to shove over my bet. If I bet like 12,000, if he decides to, you know, punt versus me with like any two, even like a 4-6 or 4-5, a7. So I just put him all in, hoping he's not going to call, and if he does, hopefully my King and 9 are live to hit something. So he folds. Raise it up with the pocket 4s and take it. Jack 9 suited. It folded to me, so I'm going to be raising. Going to fold all these reg hands. Pretty sure someone raises here before me. Yeah, like anytime you see me fold a hand really quick that you wonder why I didn't play, it's usually because someone's raising before me or going all in or something. And I don't like entering the pot with marginal hands. I'd rather raise it like right here. Like I wouldn't call Jack 8 suited from here, but I would raise if it folds to me type of thing. So yeah, I raise the Jack 8 suited and take it. We get ace jack off, and this guy min raises. He's a big stack, so I like pot controlling versus him. I could 3-bet. Like, we should be ahead of his range most of the time. But again, we're just so deep stacked that I don't really need to go crazy when there's guys like this. Like, they're all shorter than us except me and him. So I think I do decide to 3-bet. I guess my thinking might have been that he is weak and I shouldn't just let him abuse my big blind. Maybe this will keep him in check. And if he does go all in against me here, I'll just fold. I still have 205,000. That's still double, triple all these guys' chips. So anyway, he calls. I flop middle pair. I think I should be checking here. Yeah, like I don't have the queen yet, and I could let him bluff some of his worst hands, and if he does have me better hand than me, then I'll just be pot controlling. So turn's pretty good. I don't really think he has 8-9 or ace-king, so, but I check anyway, just pot controlling, you know. Let him take a stab at it. And we call the turn, and he checks, and he has a 10. And I guess we got more value by 3-betting, but like I said, in that hand, if he re-raised us more pre-flop, we could just fold. I guess the initial re-raise is fine. Anything beyond that is a bit crazy. So this guy shoves, and we have a suited ace, and we have like 5 times his chips. And I remember last time it folded to us, or folded to him, he shoved the last button too, so I decided to reshove because I think my hand's too strong. And if it's not, let's say he wakes up with a better hand, then so be it. I still have 5 times his chips, and I'll still be alive if I lose this pot. So he does have a better hand, which sucks. But we flop pretty good. And we turn even better. We just need a 6 or an 8. And we hit the 6. Or a diamond would have been live too. So yeah, we suck out there. I think our call's fine. He's not always going to have ace jack there. He's going to have bluffs in his hand too. Like queen 10, king 10, all those hands too. So it folds us on the button, and we got a lot of chips, so we're going to try to raise fold this. If we're going to raise, if they shove on us, we'll fold. But if we raise and they call, we'll bet bluff most boards. So they fold. So this guy raises triple the blind. Not really sure I want to do anything. He's representing pretty strong, like ace jack, ace king, king queen type of hands. So I just fold that one. Plus he's new to the table. I haven't really seen him play. So I raise the king 3 suited, and it gets through. I'm getting a lot of raises through, which is very nice. I'm picking up a lot of pots pre-flop, which usually doesn't happen too often. Usually everyone's coming at you pretty hard and swinging, so you got to play pretty tight. So under the gun raises, I wake up with pocket aces, and I 3-bet him to about a little under triple. I like my sizing, it's fine. I could go bigger, I could go smaller. I think bigger might be better. I think like maybe 27, but this is fine too. I flop a nut flush draw with 2 pocket aces over cards, over pair. So he checks. I bet a little under half, and he just folds. I mean, we got more chips out of him pre-flop. I don't think he was going to commit anything on this board. He didn't really have much, so we got probably extracted the most we could. We could have also checked this flop back and pretended like we had nothing and let him bluff spades. When if any spade hit, we just call. But pretty unlikely that he gets out of line versus such a big stack, aka us. So we get ace queen the next hand, 2.2x, big blind calls, flop the ace, bet half, and he folds. Again, I'm not checking to give these guys free cards, or I'm charging them for whatever they want to do. No free cards here. Unless like I flop the nuts, then yeah. If I flop a full house, I'll give people cards. So it folds blind on blind. And I get kind of too crazy here. He does almost have 20 big blinds, which is a lot, but I guess I'm kind of trying to play fearless, thinking that I have 400,000 chips and he has 70,000 chips. And even if I lose this, I'll still have 330,000 and still be in really good shape versus everyone. So he folds, which is nice. We definitely don't want him to call there. We fold these. Like I raised before us, or we would have been raising this queen 7. Don't like those hands. Okay, a7, we raise. You could see my sizing. It's just 2.2 times the size of the big blind. Flop a flush draw. I'd like betting here. Okay, well, I go all in, and I think because I don't want to give these guys any room to bluff me back in case I don't hit my card. So like, let's say they have a queen. Okay, like I still have an ace. I still have spades. I still have outs to win. But let's say I bet 15k here, and he bluff shoves me with like ace 10, and I call or something, and just lose with a7 high. That would piss me off. So I just put them in. You know, I knew I still had equity, and it was a good semi-bluffing hand. So they both fold, which is nice. So folds, and small blind goes all in. We can't call with 10-8 suited. I know it's suited, but it's just too much chips. Folds to us. We raise the jack 7 suited, and it costs us about 40,000 more to call. I think this is too much. I only have jack high. 40,000 is still quite a bit, so I don't want to double up anyone for free. King 6 suited. Again, we raise. Flop a king, and we bet half, and we take it. We raise, and this guy raises, goes all in on us again, and I'm pretty tired of him at this point. Oops, skip the hand. So yeah, like I said, we raised, and he goes all in against us. It costs us 50,000 to call out of our 430,000 stack, and that was, if we, let's say we lose this, we would have still about 380,000, which is, you know, a lot of chips again at this table. That would still be chip lead. But if we stack him, we get this guy off the table who's been like, you know, he's shoving on over all of our raises. He's trying to get in every pot. You know, he's kind of becoming a nuisance. So at this point, I'm willing to gamble and try to bust him. So he has a7, and we turn a king, and luckily we knock him out. So now we're just cruising, guys. Now he's got a ton of chips. I love getting the chip lead. People respect your raises so much more. You feel so much less like pressured from the blinds. So this guy min raises, and I'm getting 4.4 to 1 odds with 4-6. So I call. Flop a gut shot. A 3 will give me a straight, and if my 6 or 4 is live, those are pairs. So he bets. I check call. I turn a pair. Looking pretty good now. I check. He bets again. I remember he bluffed the last time. Not really convinced that he had. Like, even if he does have, let's say, an overpair like jacks or something right now, I still can hit the 3. I can hit the 4. So I have a few outs, they're not the best, but they're outs. And I do hit one. And now any ace he has will be straight. Ace 2, 3, 4, 5. So, but if he has a full house, like, it's a lot of chips to lose. So I bet pretty big, and he folds. Maybe I should have let him bluff that river, because an ace is more in his range, I feel. But what am I really calling to the river with? Mostly a 5 or some sort of ace 2, ace 3, ace 4. And my bet sizing is kind of obvious. I bet 2/3, and it just looks like so strong. So limps around, I call. Don't flop anything, just check fold. I raised the 8-9 suited. So yeah, we raise up the suited connectors, and this guy leads into us. And at this point, I think we're just done with the hand. So we're just going to keep folding all these weaker hands. This guy raises pretty big, so we're just going to fold. We get aces under the gun, which is pretty sweet. We minimum raise under the gun. And everyone folds, which sucks. Maybe under the gun we should be raising a little bit more. It looks pretty obvious under the gun. When we're minimum raising, it looks like we want action. But then you can counter argue and say, you know, why don't you raise 6-7 suited under the gun? And maybe that's why people are doing those type of plays now. So we get queens in the big, and the button raises us. And I like re-raising here to maybe 29,000. I make it 31.5. I think it's too big. I think we should make it 29, 20, 28, 29. So we take it down, which is cool, but I really would have wanted him to spaz and went all in or something, but I don't think he would have done that regardless. I don't think he had any hand anyway. So the same guy raises, and we pressure him pretty hard with ace king. Huge raise. Probably too big, but actually looks pretty fine. Like, I don't want to let him see the flop with cheap cards. So he actually calls, surprisingly, and he checks to us. So we check behind. Pretty surprised at our check behind. And he checks again, and we check again. And the river's a queen, which is pretty bad for us. Now any queen king, ace queen type of hand got there, but he checks, and I guess we're just checking, and luckily he calls us with ace 8 suited and just plays it pretty badly. So good thing he didn't bet anywhere. I would have called the turn bet, but maybe not the river. So we get table changed, and we get 10-6 off in the big blind. He minimum raises, and we call. Bad flop, and we're just check folding. Ace king, and this guy raises. He's been playing a lot of pots. I re-raise him pretty hard. Probably too big again. I think maybe 30. I think we're between 37 to 38 is a little bit better, but this is fine too. We saw that last guy call with ace 8, but he doesn't come after us. Ace 8 in the big blind, raise and all in. Can't really do much. We're trapped by this guy, which I doubt is calling, but he calls. And he does not get there. His raise is fine with ace 9 suited, especially with 6 players at the table. Button raises. I don't mind a re-raise here, but I guess since I re-raised him last time, I didn't want to get too out of line. He might think I'm bluffing him and make a move, and I can't really do much. But yeah, this is a pretty decent spot to do something. I have a king in my hand. I'm suited, but I just fold and keep it disciplined. And I do flop a flush draw. And these guys went pretty hard. I didn't get to see it, but it's fine. I like playing tight. And as soon as I say that, I raise 7-5 suited. I should say I like calling tighter or re-raising tighter, but with raising itself, just a single raise, it's fine. Plus I'm big stack. So they short stack goes all in, and he gets isolated, and a7 is just too weak for me to risk anything here. Just fold. Let's see how this jack queen plays. He triples it, so I guess I fold. Usually he min raises. This time he looks maybe a bit stronger. So I fold, and he takes it down. So it folds to the small blind, and he folds too. Sometimes they don't wake up with hands, and sometimes they just see how big your chip stack is, and they don't want to do anything. Did we play this 3-9? Of course not. So we just fold all these, again, all these pretty shitty hands, jack 3 and stuff. So we raise. Pretty sure our sizing is still 2.2x. Raise and take it. I'm not a fan of this raise. I don't really know why I did it. I think I was feeling pretty confident that no one was going to play back against me. But yeah, I'm not really a fan of this raise, but I do have a face card. Like, that's my only reason I could see. I have a face card, I have the big stack. No one's really playing back at me too much, so maybe in the game flow I was feeling it, but again, I don't like this raise. We get 8s and under the gun goes all in, and he doesn't really have much. He doesn't even have 10 big blinds, so we have a lot. We have him covered by like 10 times. So we call, and unfortunately this guy calls too. Not really sure what he has, but he has aces. So like versus him we were correct, but like I was talking about earlier, there's so many chances for someone to wake up with a hand better than us. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6 times 5%, 30% chance for someone to wake up with a hand better. Let's just call it a cooler. Luckily, you know, he didn't have that much chips. He just had 60,000, and yeah, we still got a ton of chips. So we're still chip lead. Everything's still cool. This guy's copying my raise sizing now, and he makes it 2.2x, and I would have liked to defend here. I'm not really sure. I think I'm trying to play super clean, you know, not really trying to chase too much and get lucky. So both ways is fine. But with the pot odds, you know, the pot odds, let's see the pot odds. Pot odds was 3.8 to 1. That's pretty good. But anyway, we fold that, and this guy raises. We can't play king 7. This guy shoves all in. I'm definitely not calling 4 or 5 suited. Jack 7 suited. We go for the raise, and it works. This is a pretty passive table. I'm pretty sure this is either final table or pre-final table. Probably even final table, actually. So yeah, let's just assume, I forgot to announce this. This is final table. That's why you see everyone playing so much tighter. So yeah, this is final table, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but let's just continue, because I'm wondering why everyone's being so tight. Oh yeah, but this is the last hand I raised this, or I didn't even raise this jack. Did I raise that? Oh, I took the jack 7 and I folded the 9-5, right? Yeah. This guy min raises, this guy re-raises. I can't do anything with 5-6, too weak. And let's go a bit further. Sorry, one sec, guys. Just kind of lost myself down below at the graph. Just give me a sec. Just gonna look for this. Just gonna pause it real quick. Alright guys, sorry about that. I lost my place on the script, on the film script of this poker tournament that we're at the final table of. So yeah, I fold this 9-5, and let's see how this, yeah, as I was saying, I fold the 5-6, and I shove here. I think it's too much, because this is like 20 big blinds, but at the same time I do have an ace, and I'm kind of just trying to cut the bullshit in case he's going to try to rebluff me with something stupid. But yeah, again, I think it's too much. I definitely think I should be either raising, 2.5 or triple the blind and seeing how he reacts. But I guess I was trying to apply max pressure, which sometimes works and sometimes doesn't. Double-edged sword. It folds to me, so I raise the king 8 off. He raises, I fold the 5-8 in the big. Someone raises from early position, and I have pocket 6s. I think I should be calling here. I think it's too much chips to be 3-betting because it's over 20 big blinds, and maybe if he had 10 big blinds, pocket 6s would be okay, but 20 big blinds seems way too much. So I should be set mining here. Plus, if I call and let the big blind in, he might hit something and I could hit 6, and we could try to squeeze his huge chip stack in our favor, exploit him. But if I re-raise here to say 45k or 48k, whatever, and then he goes all in, I'm pretty much committed to call, and he's usually going to have a better hand. When I do re-raise, this play is decent, like I said. These are like borderline plays. I guess I'm just going with reads, but pretty risky. I kind of like flatting more again, letting that guy in. So he calls, and I flop a really good board versus what he should have. He should have, you know, a bunch of high cards, because I'm thinking all of his pairs would go all in pre-flop. Well, his good pairs anyway. So I bet pretty small, assuming that if he's going to shove anything, even ace-10, I'm calling. But he folds. Raise 2.2x, and this guy clicks it back pretty small. This is a pretty good play by him. Chip lead versus chip lead. He is in position on the button, and he doesn't really have to make it too big to try to exploit me. So I flop pretty strong. I flop 2 overcards with flush draw and the straight draw. Any 10 will give me a straight, any spade will give me a flush, and sometimes my jack and queen might be good. I check, he checks, and at this point I think he probably has ace king or ace queen. I probably should bomb this turn, but I doubt he's going to give me credit. But it would be pretty hard for him to call a turn bet here of like, you know, 2/3, like anywhere like 68,000 or something. But who knows? A lot of people don't like folding ace king. So I check, he bets 20k. I think I should be raising this, but maybe I'm taking into consideration that this is a final table. Look how short these guys are. Like, that's 20k. The guy only has 100k. Like 20k, you know, 120k. So anyway, I play it safe and I call, and pretty shitty run out. And he bets river pretty small, and I can't do much. We had a lot of outs on that flop. Unfortunately, didn't hit anything, but yeah. So gonna be folding these low cards. Defend versus the min raise, and just folding when I hit nothing. Gonna be folding to the button raise. Get a7, I raise and take it. And queen 8 suited the next hand, I raise. Big blind calls. I flop a decent hand, but this board hits him pretty good too, like any 10, any jack. And he has a lot of straight draws too that are probably even better than mine. Any queen 9, queen king. So I bet pretty small. And he calls, and I should be double barreling this board. Just in case, you know, he has any 9-10 or 8-10. Even like a hand like jack 8, but he might not fold. But yeah, I like putting pressure, and I did. And he calls. He seems pretty stubborn. And he had a pretty bad hand. I guess if I'm bluffing that this turn card, I should be following through on the river. I kind of just gave up, assuming that he wasn't laying down his jack or his 10. I didn't really put him on a king or anything too strong. All I really thought was he was stubborn. So yeah, right here I should probably bet again. It doesn't even have to be big. It could be bet like, I think like anywhere between 90 to 110,000 seems pretty good. It would be hard for him to call with like a 10 or a jack there. Anyway, we check, and he takes it. This guy raises our big blind. We defend, flop top pair. And he bets, and versus a chip leader, I think I like just pot controlling here. I don't want to raise him and get myself into a bad spot. Bad turn card, but he doesn't always have the jack. And when he checks, it makes me even think he has the jack even less. I'm just going to check this river still, because he could have ace queen now that hits a straight, and king queen still beats me. Any jack beats me. So we check it, and he just has ace 3, luckily. See if I raise this 9-6 suited. I don't know why I decided to play that tight on that one. Guess I was just trying to switch up my style. Queen jack on the button. I like calling or 3-betting it. Calling's probably better. I might as well just take a flop in position. But you could definitely argue for 3-betting. Last time I 3-bet him, I showed him ace king. So he probably remembers that. But he didn't fold ace 8, so maybe that's why I called. And this guy's been 3-betting a lot. I think he knows it's hard for us to call if we don't wake up with a hand. I definitely, if I 3-bet, it would be harder for him to 3-bet. So I think I should be doing something here, like at least calling his raise, but I didn't. And let's see their hands. Kings, which is cool. You know, we played it fine. We played it passive. We didn't force things, and we saved a lot of chips for it. I get 3-bet off the guy off the button. His sizing looks pretty strong. Yeah, his sizing looks pretty strong. I don't think he's doing this to me too light. But he definitely could be. But who knows, you know? He could have aces here. He could have ace queen. He bets pretty small. Looks pretty inducing. I check call. He bets turn again. And now I'm starting to think I'm beat. Like, I don't really beat much when he re-raises pre-flop and then bets flop, bets turn. But I call anyway like a donk. And I check river. And he puts me all in. And this spot's pretty close. I mean, I don't think he's ever triple barreling bluffing here. Like, it doesn't really make sense for him to just punt off his whole stack with ace jack here. He has to assume I have something here too. So I think he just does have aces and kings here, or like even ace queen, and it's probably just a good fold. So make a super tight fold, and I just fold there. Which is, it could have been like the make or break moment. Either I bust right now, or like I, you know, get a chip lead. And I really don't want to bust right now. But yeah, that hand could have definitely been good. I still had top pair. Get called, and I bluff this board, but he calls. Unfortunately, this guy seems like a pretty calling station. And we just check it, and he has pocket 10, so I guess he did have a good hand. This guy raises me, and he's been pretty loose and active. I think I like shoving here. I only have 30 big blinds, so I just shove. I get ace queen, and this guy goes all in for under 10 bigs. It's an easy reshove. We have triple his chips. We have ace queen, so hopefully run good and get there. Yeah, we just held up. It's a good result. So now we're down to like the last 5 players. I raise ace-3 on the button, raise and take it. Folding all these junk hands, and then I get king-queen. Button raises. It's pretty spewy, but I think my king-queen is ahead of the button's range, so especially when I don't even think small blind has even that good of a hand. He seems pretty bad and loose, even though like he's a good player. I've seen his stats. He is a good player, but in this specific spot, I think that's like a pretty bad call. Oh, he has the same hand. Which I'm pretty surprised at, actually. He should be shoving that pre-flop. Maybe he's trying to trap me or something. So we just chop that one up. And I get jack king here. And I raise, and the big blind calls. I flop top pair, I bet half. He calls. I would like to bet the turn a little bit more here, but maybe I'm just trying to be careful. And the river just comes a terrible run out. And I think I should be folding here. I don't really beat much. But you could definitely argue that it's one-on-one. You know, I would assume that he would be playing all of his aces pretty aggressive against me pre-flop. Especially with the chip stacks. He has triple my stack. So, like, the only thing that really beats me here is a 4 or an ace. And it wasn't even like... It was only, you know, 1/3 my stack. I think we should be calling here. I think this is probably a call. I don't put him on an ace. Like, the only thing we lose to is like, what, 4 or 5 suited. Sorry guys, just gonna answer a call real quick. Sorry about that, guys. Just had to answer a call. So yeah, anyway, about this king jack hand, I think I should call this river. If we're beat, we're beat. And yeah, I think he would play aggressively with his ace against us pre-flop. So, and I think we beat majority of his kings, and there's a lot of other hands that we beat, but of course there's a lot of hands that we lose to, so I folded. Not really a fan of the fold. Raise from the big stack and shove. and we fold. So here, I don't really think we should be calling here. It looks like we're ahead of his range. He could be shoving so many weaker aces, you know, anything from ace 2 to ace 6. Any Broadway like king queen, jack queen, king 10, 9-10 suited, jack 10. We beat so many stuff, so I think for that reason I reshipped, but you know, the ICM poker calculator says this is a fold for sure. But like based off my own reads, this is why I'm shoving here, right? Because I believe my cards are ahead, or else I wouldn't go all in here. But I'm not a fan of it because it's just luck. It's just like a coin flip. But we are ahead though. We are ahead. We got the money and good. And unfortunately it gets there. And we're crippled now. Pretty crippled. Now that makes me wish we called that queen 10 hand earlier. Or even the jack king. So we fold this king 2. Next time we get queens. I think this raise is too big. I should be min raising here to let them be aggressive versus me. But luckily big blind calls. We flop a full house, so I think I should be checking back here. Or if he bets into us all in, even better. And I don't blame him. He has a flush draw. So we double up. Luckily the hand before that with the queens. And next hand we get ace queen. We raise it up. Big blind calls and we bet, and he calls, and I think we should still be betting. There's no flushes. We got an ace with a pretty good kicker. He leads into us, and from here I think he's just trying to blocker bet, you know, maybe a 7, maybe an ace with a weaker kicker, maybe some straight draws like 4 or 5. So I shove on him and he folds. I'm trying to protect my hand. This guy min raises, we defend with ace 2. He just bets and we fold. We have no pair, nothing. We raise ace 4 offsuit on the button and they fold it. Ace 9 suited. This guy raises pretty small. I like calling here. I could go all in because he's been so loose, you know. Not really loose, but he's been re-raising quite a bit. But I also have been raising a lot, so maybe he's just waking up with hands. But according to the math, I'm getting 3.2 to 1 odds here. I should just be calling in position. So I call, flop a flush draw. He bets, and at this point, I think my hand's just too strong to do anything other than go all in. Because the times he's bluffing, I'll just force him out. And even if he has, let's say he has pocket kings, like I still have equity with the flush draw and the ace. So I go all in and he folds luckily. Plus I think we were just ahead there pre-flop. So we get kings. We're doing a pretty nice comeback here, by the way. We got like all the way from 100,000 suddenly back to 500,000. So this guy, big stack raises us. We re-raise pretty big. I'm pretty surprised at the sizing, but maybe I thought he had so much chips that he's willing to pay. And he does. Or he clicks it back, which is crazy. So we're obviously getting it all in with the kings. And he folds. I'm trying to think if there's any different way we could have played this hand. When he makes it 192, maybe I can make it, you know, back whatever it is, 320. Something small. Not really putting it in additional 300,000 on top of him. Maybe just trying to slowly get his chip stack in. Like I went 110, he went 192. If I can go 320 here, he'll still have room to either call or make some sort of mistake. But maybe it's good I pushed him out with like an ace 2 or something, you know. That's funny. I was thinking I went too big and he re-raised me. So I limp here, blind versus blind, flop a pair, bet. He calls, I check. And when we river trips, bet 2/3 and he calls. I'm surprised he checked that turn with a king. I'm not really sure why. He should be 100% betting that turn card. So we get lucky due to him misplaying it. And this guy just keep coming at us. And again, we're in position. And we don't need to go all in here. We have 2.2 to 1 odds and we get to see what he does first on the flop. So we call. Bad flop for us. He checks. I'm thinking he's pretty weak at this point. I don't mind bluffing. I would assume that he's going to be betting all of his kings and queens and stuff on this board. Even ace jack. So I bet pretty small, hoping he's going to fold, or, I have backdoor diamonds and hopefully the king or queen is somehow live. I'm kind of just betting based off the fact that he seems weak. He re-raised pre and he checks this board. So he calls and I turn a diamond draw. And now for sure, if he checks, I think I should be double barreling this board in case he does have hands like ace king spades, ace queen spades, ace 10 hearts, stuff like that. So I bet 1/3. I'm not really a fan of my size too much, but those hands, all of them that I listed, would be pretty hard to call here. So maybe it's a good thing. I'm not really bloating the pot. So he calls again and we go backdoor diamond draw, a part of our plan. Of course. So, and this river, I think in case he has pocket kings or aces in his range and he's just check calling, or even let's say ace 10 offsuit, and now that ace 10 offsuit has made a flush with the ace of diamonds. I think I should just be checking back here, even though I know it looks like I should be going for thin value. I don't really want to bet 200,000 and he just comes over the top of me and I can't do anything. So I just check, and luckily for us, he did have queens. He played the hand pretty good, but I don't see any reason why he wouldn't be check raising me on this board way earlier in the hand. Right here, if you're going to let me bluff, then at least raise me right here. Even queens are pretty vulnerable on this board. Any 9 or 10 is a pretty threatening card for you. Even a diamond, So we got lucky, but he played it pretty weak. Seems to be a common trend. So we raise the 9-10 off, get called by the big blind, lead pretty small for 1/3, get it through. Folds blind on blind, I limp. I'm surprised he's letting me limp so much. Maybe he just doesn't want to bust either and he has bad hands. So I bluff this flop. I don't think he has an ace or a king majority of the time because he didn't raise pre-flop. So I like double barreling here 2/3. And hopefully it makes him fold any 8 or a 5 or some sort of draw. So it works. And raise the ace 2. Get it through. Raise the ace 5. Take it down. Fold. So we raised this min raise, queen 7 off, blind on blind. I would like to go a bit bigger, but min raise is fine. So we bet a little bit under half and he calls. Turns a decent card. I don't really love it, but now all of his 8s and 6s, he'll be less likely to fold. I'm surprised I double barreled this turn. And pretty good double barrel. Worked out. Usually it doesn't work out like that. Oh, so I was actually surprised, guys. That wasn't the final table. That was crazy. Holy, that wasn't the final table. That's crazy. Okay, so that was pretty good. Good stuff. So that was pre-final table, guys. I guess they were being tight because it was before the final table. And I'm pretty sure this is the final table now. So I'll be cutting off the video here and I'll work on part 3 for you guys. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the comments box. And I wish you all a wonderful day and take care. Good luck at the tables. Peace.